Welcome to session 8 of Growing Leaders. With this session, we begin part 3 of the course. If you can remember right back to the beginning, part 1 looked at foundations of Christian leadership. And then on part 2, we built on those foundations to explore some key skills for Christian leaders. And now we want to focus on faithfulness in Christian leadership. And this particular session, session 8, focuses on embracing cost. Let me give you the aims for the session. We want participants to engage honestly with the struggles, realities and cost of Christian leadership. Secondly, we want to help them to identify ways to help with such realities. And then thirdly, to ensure that we're praying for the struggles that people have. If I was to overview this session, I think I'd want to offer you some background to why we put this session together. Again and again, we heard stories of people who started off well in Christian leadership, but within a matter of a few years, had left their role or responsibility. And what we discovered was this: no one ever told them there was a cost involved. Their expectations were unrealistic. They thought being in a Christian leadership role was going to be easy, fun, all sorts of positive things. But of course, if we take what the Bible says seriously, for example, Paul's own reflections on his leadership, he talks a lot about cost, about struggle, about hardship and difficulty. And that's how it will be for Christian leaders today. So one of the activities we want to encourage participants to do is to think through these issues by writing a letter or an email to a younger emergent leader who's about to take on a leadership responsibility. And what we've discovered is, through this activity, the participants gather all sorts of ideas and insights that help them to reflect further on their own leadership. And then, of course, if they decide to post that email or letter to the younger leader, it actually is a great help to them as well. The cost of Christian leadership is something not to be avoided. Let's take a hard look at it during this session, but to do so in a way which actually also provides encouragement and strength for the journey ahead. Let's ask Lorraine for some practical pointers for how she went about that. Lorraine, you were telling me you found one of the activities worked really well.
The one particular one is the cost-benefit exercise. This is where we got the groups to get together and brainstorm some of the costs of leadership and then outline some of the benefits clearly, but we pulled all those costs. And it was really important for them to really work out what support would they need to put in place if they really came across some of these issues. Because the costs really hit home. It really became a, wow, this is hard stuff.
And so did they come up with a sort of list of support things as well?
Yeah, and they shared those because some people had clearly different experiences, which others just were not aware of. And it's those personal stories that really made a difference.
Now, I was also mentioning about the main activity. What are some of the practical things around that exercise of writing an email or a letter that they need to be aware of?
Yeah, first thing clearly is about having enough laptops and also to have in each group someone who's a particularly good fast typer. Because otherwise you're just going to spend loads of time just trying to write the thing. The other thing that we did also was once we got the letters from each of the groups, we emailed those round after the session. And again, people got more of a flavour as what sort of things need to be said or even thought about in starting leadership.
Okay, and I can imagine this session could raise some big stuff for people. You know, if somebody's been going through a really tough time, a really hard struggle as a leader, how did you handle that?
Yeah, the main thing here is that, yes, if people have been through quite hurtful situations in the past, these things could come to the surface again. So really do mention this to the mentors before this session happens, just so that they can be ready if it comes into their mentoring relationship later.
Thank you very much. Another thing that you might want to consider is inviting in a seasoned Christian leader, somebody who's been knocking around leadership for quite a while, and simply allow them to give their testimony of the ups, the downs, the struggles and the joys of being a Christian leader. We've found this an extraordinarily powerful experience, particularly for those who may be just starting out in leadership. And it can inspire people for the long haul, which is really what this part of the course is all about. We want Christian leaders not to be bowing out of leadership after just a short time. We want them to serve and to lead until their dying day.